The Senate President is recognized.
Maraming salamat po, Mr. Chairman. On the onset, I would just like to thank the Executive Secretary for accepting my invitation today. And to put on record, the President called me earlier this morning and said that he's sending the Executive Secretary today to participate in the deliberation to show sign of respect also to the Blue Ribbon Committee members. So I appreciate the call of the President, and I appreciate the call of ES Vic Rodriguez that he will attend in today's hearing. Hopefully it will put to rest any marites or chismis that he's avoiding and not wanting to comply or to answer questions from our distinguished colleagues. Again, my sincerest thanks to the Executive Secretary and to the President.
Thank you, Senate President Zubiri. I also would like to express our gratitude for the presence of the good Executive Secretary. Though we issued a subpoena earlier, it will clarify a lot of things. There were other contradictory statements issued by some resource persons a while ago, which will need to be clarified. Pressing issues for the day, Mr. Witness, are two items. One, there were insinuations made, and it's part of the TSN by Yusek Sebastian, that there were signals, quote unquote, emanating from your good office that triggered them to act in the manner that resulted in the aborted SO number 4. Number 2, Senator Hontiveros, and she will clarify this later, raised the issue as to whether the misperceptions, quote unquote, claimed by the SRA board members were triggered by communications, subliminal or otherwise, emanating from you. Number 3, just today, the former SRA head, Mr. Serafica, claimed that the original agreed upon importation number would be 600,000 metric tons, a far cry from the previous 300,000 or 150,000, plus other items that would be clarified emanating from your sworn statements. Again, we appreciate, we reiterate our appreciation and gratitude for your attendance today. Mr. Executive Secretary, you have the floor. And our ears, and our undivided attention, and the general public as well. Please proceed.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. To the Senate President, Senator Vic Zubiri, to the Chairman of the Blue Ribbon Committee, Senator Francis Tolentino, to the Chairman of the Committee on Agriculture, the Honorable Senator Cynthia Villar, to the other members of the Augustus of the Senate. Good morning to all of you, Your Honors. And before I begin, I would like to sincerely apologize if there is we have to resort to the issuance of a subpoena to compel my presence today. I have no intention whatsoever to disrespect the honorable members of the Senate and the Senate as an institution. And that is why immediately when I learned that a subpoena was issued, I don't want to, but I have to inform His Excellency, even if he is on a state visit, and immediately he asked me to forthwith see the Senate President and immediately be present in today's Blue Ribbon Committee hearing, Your Honors. Again, my apologies, Your Honors, sirs and ma'am. For the pressing matter that was mentioned by the Chairman of the Blue Ribbon Committee, first on the signal that triggered the passage of SO4, I definitely deny that there was a signal coming from my end that, or I have given them the go-ahead to pass that resolution or the sugar order number 4, calling for the importation of more or less 300,000 metric tons of sugar. For the pressing matter number 2 that was raised by the Honorable Hontiveros, if I may, sir,
Please proceed, sir.
regarding the communication, I didn't get it completely, sir. I apologize.
Second part, and this can be clarified by Senator Hontiveros, was that the SRA board members then, I'm referring to Mr. Serafica, Beltran, and Valderrama, apparently understood, coming from a meeting, I just heard an online meeting, that they should proceed with an import plan cum SO number 4, even if there is a provision that calls for an approval and a reprobation item in another section. So, can we ask Senator Hontiveros to clarify that briefly? Baka mali yung rephrasing ko nung pangalawang tanong. We take advantage of the presence of Executive Secretary Rodriguez. Ano po yung tinatanong nyo noon? Briefly, para hindi na natin ulitin yung nasagot kanina.
Salamat, Mr. Chair, at magandang tanghali din po, Mr. Executive Secretary. It's good to see you here finally po to clarify these questions. Actually, Mr. Chair, hindi ko nakuha masyadong klaro yung pag-summarize nyo ng second point, but if I pick up some of the pieces of the question of the good chair, yung isa ay may kinalaman dun sa memorandum from the Office of the Executive Secretary dated July na nagbibigay ng some delegated powers to the former SRA head or suspended, presently, preventively suspended SRA head Yusek Sebastian on behalf of the President as a DA Yusek and particularly as head of the SRA, subject to the review and reprobation of the President. Yun po ba, Mr. Chair? Although wala naman ako po akong tanong tungkol doon, mas I made it of record also that in fact, it would seem na sina Yusek Sebastian et al. Acted on the basis of that memorandum from your office. Salamat, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Executive Secretary, you can reply.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Regarding if they have acted on the basis of the memorandum issued, granting additional or delegating additional authority to the Senior Undersecretary Sebastian then, Your Honor, we made it very clear to them that we are requiring for the submission of an import plan prior to the passage of a sugar order. And as I have mentioned during my appearance last August 23, that we were still in the process of determining the basis of their suggestion on whether to import 300,000 metric tons of sugar or not. Ang gusto hong malaman ng Pangulo, unang-una, ano ang nangyari, consumed na ba yung 200,000 metric tons? At kung ito'y na-consume na, ano ang ating magiging basihan kung bakit tayo mag-i-import uli based on the proposed SO4, kaya ho kami humihingi ng import plan. Wala po, Your Honor, na pagkakasunduan o naaprobahang import plan, kaya wala pa hong basihan din yung pagpasa nila ng SO4. Dahil hindi pa ho nila mabigay yung essentially process of liquidating yung 200,000 metric tons na produkto po ng SO3. Nandoon pa lamang ho kami, kaya nga ho nagulat kami pareho ng ating Pangulo, bakit nagpasa ng SO4 at bakit 300,000 metric tons ang ipinipilit na ating iangkat muli.
Mr. Chair, if I may as a follow-up.
Is this related to the...
Yes, to this question,
proceed.
Mr. Chair. Salamat po. I would like po to read a portion of the testimony of the good executive secretary himself when he appeared before the Blue Ribbon regarding that August 4 meeting. I'm reading here from pages 153 to 154 nung nagbigay ng presentation si ES sa Blue Ribbon. Sabi dito, this is the transcript of what the good ES told the committee. On August 4, Thursday, in a meeting again in Malacanang, we were told by Yusek Leo Sebastian that as of 3 August 2022, or the day before the meeting, the SRA has reclassified 62,000 kilos of sugar from C to B. In a meeting with then SRA Administrator Serafica, and in the presence of my Senior Deputy Executive Secretary, the Deputy Executive Secretary for Finance and Administration, and the Deputy Secretary for Legal Affairs, and as well as the presence of Dr. Molly Chong, the President of the PITC, I asked for the specifics on the status of the 200,000 metric tons sugar, part of sugar order number 3, and on that occasion, 4 August, many figures were given, but seemingly, the former administrator himself is uncertain or unsure of what he was citing or what he cited. The meeting concluded with the following matters for action. I, meaning the ES, I specifically requested that in the event there is really a need for the government to resort to another round of sugar importation, I asked for the import plan. I also asked who will be accredited, and an answer to our query if the PITC may import on behalf of industrial and for home consumption sugars. And finally, if we may be given a draft sugar order for their proposed 300,000 metric tons new round of importation. So I'm asking the good ES, Mr. Chairman, to confirm to the committee, confirm again, since it is in our transcript, if indeed he told the committee when he first appeared, made the presentation to us, that in that meeting, malinaw po sa transcript, mayroon na pong pinag-usapang 300,000 metric tons na babanggitin sa importation plan, which in SRA language is importation program, which is embodied in a draft sugar order. Meron na pong 300,000 na binanggit, Mr. Chair.
Senator Hontiveros, in effect, what you are asking from the good executive secretary is to reaffirm the words coming from his sworn statement.
Yes, Mr. Chair, which actually contradict what he just told us now, na walang pinag-usapang amount. Pero mismo sa kanilang presentation last time, nasa transcript ng Blue Ribbon, ito nga po yung isang follow-up question ko sana, do you confirm that you heard the proposal to import 300,000 metric tons? Dahil nasa transcript na po ng Blue Ribbon nung una kayong nag-present, good ES, na may amount na pinag-uusapan at pinag-iisipan noon na 300,000 metric tons, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Executive Secretary.
Thank you, Madam Senator. Mr. Chair, wala hong debate at hindi ko ho tinatanggi na simula pa lamang ay yung amount na 300,000 metric tons ay isinusulong na ng SRA Board. Yun nga ho yung dahilan kung bakit kami humihingi ng import plan so that they can justify why they are so fixated with 300,000 metric tons of importation. That will be the subject matter of DSO4. I am not denying, Mr. Chairman, that the amount in terms of quantity of 300,000 metric tons has been mentioned many times. And that is precisely why we are asking them to submit to us an import plan so that they can justify. Why 300,000 metric tons? Why not 250? Why not 200? Why not 150? Nandoon pa lamang ho kami, kagalang-galang na senador. At yes, I affirm, lahat po ng nakalagay doon sa transcript, it's essentially the same as what I have written here in my notebook, that the meeting concluded with the following matters for action. Number one, the import plan. Two, kung sino ho yung ma-accredit at kung masagot nila yung katanungan, kung maaari bang mag-import mismo ang PITC on behalf of the industrial and for home consumption. At yun nga ho, yung draft sugar order for the proposed 300,000 metric tons. Again, bakit po 300,000? Because that amount, that quantity, ay galing po sa kanila paulit-ulit yan. But we will rely essentially on the import plan if they can justify it or if we ourselves can be convinced na kinakailangan nga 300,000 metric tons ang ating iangkat. Dagdag ko lamang ho, para lang din po siguro klaro, wala rin naman hong debate kung dapat tayong mag-angkat o hindi. Dapat po tayong mag-angkat. Nahinto lamang po kami, Your Honors, kung magkakano in terms of quantity yung ating dapat iangkat.
Mr. Chair. Yes, of course. Yes, of course.
Thank you, my dear colleague. So, ang lumalabas sa Executive Secretary, bukang bibig ng SRA yun. Yung 300,000. They kept mentioning it in the meeting.
Tama po yun, Mr. Senate President. Tama po yun, Your Honor, na yung 300,000 metric tons, hindi po nanggaling sa amin yung amount na yan at kami nga ay nagtatanong bakit 300,000 metric tons. And again, I saw it also in my notes that in the meeting held on August 4 in my office, Your Honors, ang sinasabi nga namin, pinag-uusapan namin noon, nung dating administrator ng SRA na si Mr. Administrator Serafica, can you just please show us paanong naubos o yung liquidation ng 200,000 metric tons? In fact, ang tanong ko ho noon, yung 200,000 metric tons ba, lahat yan ay landed? Ang sagot po, 62% yan ay landed. And we computed more or less 130,000. Nasaan yung kulang na 70? Para alam natin bakit ang presyo ay nasa 110, 115 per kilo. Meron ba talagang shortage? At ang tugon ho niya, nag-reclassify lamang ho kami a week back or few days back ng 62,000 metric tons. So, kako, simple math, yung 130,000 metric tons plus 62, 192 na. At saan ngayon mapupunta yung binabanggit ninyo na meron pang 35,000 metric tons in transit papunta sa isang warehouse for reclassification? Put them all together, 130 more or less, 62,000 metric tons more or less, plus yung 35,000 na sinasabi mo, kako, so sobra tayo sa 200,000 metric tons. Sabi ko sa kanya, yan ang mga importanteng detalye na gusto sanang makita ng Pangulo. Bago tayo mag-finalize, kung magkakano, again, in terms of quantity, yung dapat ho nating i-import, Your Honors, please.
Mr. Chair, one follow-up question about this
Proceed.
particular.
Then the Senate President would like to interject.
Yes, Mr. Chair. As the SP and I have both noted, kinonfirm ni ES na may pinag-usapan at pinag-iisipang amount na 300,000 metric tons doon sa pulong na iyon noong August 4. As the ES also confirmed earlier and recorded already in the transcript of the Blue Ribbon, there was an instruction to the SRA to draft an import plan, which is an import program, which is a draft sugar order. Huling follow-up sa puntong ito, ES, was there any opposition mentioned in that meeting to the proposal to import 300,000 metric tons? Sabi nyo nga po kanina, ES, ito yung proposal, ito yung rekomendasyon ng SRA, sabi po nila, patay sa mga rekomendasyon ng mga stakeholders. But in that meeting po, was there any opposition expressed by the good ES or the President or any other person participating to the proposal to import 300,000 metric tons of sugar, Mr. Chair?
Yes, Your Honor. May opposition po at ang opposition ho mismo ay galing sa amin. Yun nga ho yung sinasabi namin, bakit 300,000 metric tons yung pilit ninyong binabanggit na amount of importation. Kaya nga po, let me be respectfully, let me be very clear again, that is why we were asking for an import plan. Yung import plan, nandun po sana yung detalye. And then, pati nga ho yung mekanismo, dahil sila naman ho talaga ang nakakaalam, paano ba yung accreditation ninyo ng trader na pwede mag-import, paano yung distribution ninyo ng X amount of metric tons, magkaanong in terms of quantity kay trader A, B, C, D, E, o kung pwede ang industrial user mismo diretso mag-import. Yun po yung aming pinag-uusapan pa noon. At yun po yun. At we objected doon sa initial amount of 300,000 metric tons. And yung sinasabi po natin na gumawa sila ng draft sugar order for the proposed 300,000 metric ton, purposely, so we can makumpara po namin, Your Honors, yung import plan mo dito sa ginigiit mong draft SO na 300,000 metric tons. Para meron naman ho kami ibabanggang mga dokumento. Bakit ba naman, just in case, bakit ba sa import plan mo ito lang ang linalabas? Bakit ba dito sa draft SO mo ito pinipilit mo? Yun lang naman ho po yun, Your Honors.
For the record, Mr. Chair, before I end this line of questioning, yung sinabi ni ES nung kanilang presentation noon sa transcript ng Blue Ribbon na, and finally, if we may be given a draft sugar order for their proposed 300,000 metric tons new round of importation, doesn't sound like an objection. At most, clarification. Kasi kung nag-o-object talaga, tumututol talaga, ayaw talaga, I don't think government would even ask for a draft of a sugar order. Ayon po kay ES, they oppose the 300,000. It seems there's a confusion po, Mr. Chair, as to what the President intended. So, para lang po malinaw talaga, definitely sa Blue Ribbon, I respectfully move to subpoena the Zoom recording of the August 4th meeting with the President, the ES, former Board Member Valderrama, and former Administrator Serafica. I so move, Mr. Chair.
Senator Hontiveros, I think that will have to be discussed again by the committee because these are confidential statements now. In an in-camera hearing, we will discuss whether we have the right to subpoena and retrieve via subpoena duces tecum without violating the confidentiality or privileged communications between the Chief Executive himself and his subalterns, and without violating perhaps Data Privacy Act provisions. So
I
think
submit,
we will
Mr.
have
Chair.
to discuss that, Senator Hontiveros.
I submit, Mr. Chair, subject to making another motion at the proper
yes,
time, just to help really settle these seemingly hindi po nagtutugmang mga statements. Salamat, Mr. Chair.
But the good Executive Secretary already affirmed twice the contents of his previous statements. So the Senate President is recognized.
No, I'd like to confirm what the ES had said because in a meeting in Malacanang, I don't know what date that was when you called us ES to help with the stakeholders. Do you recall that date? Was it August, second week of August?
Your Honor, I think it was during the oath-taking of the BARM officials, Your Honor.
That's correct.
I am not
forget
sure
the date.
exactly the date, exactly when.
August 17, according to my staff. August 17, the President was present in that meeting together with the stakeholders. And I'd like to quote what the President said. Nung pinag-usapan daw nila ito, doon sa August 4 meeting, ang sabi ng Pangulo ay, ganun ba karaming kailangan natin i-import? Exact words of the President. He asked the SRA that, ganun ba karaming kailangan natin ma-import? Baka naman mas konti. That's what the President, and I have a witness here, Mr. William Chua was here, some of the stakeholders are in this room, and they were present in that meeting. And I'd like them to confirm also, maybe later on the sideline, that the President had said that. The President had questioned the number that the SRA was floating around. So, whether my dear colleague will believe me or not, Senator Risa will believe me or not, yan ang sinabi ng Pangulo, and I believe him. Because bukang bibig niya dun sa kampanya namin ay uunahin niya kapakanan ng mga magsasaka. At ang sabi pa ng Pangulo, let us frown upon importation, let us strengthen our farmers so that we can be self-reliant on our food security. Yan ang bukang bibig niya tuwing umiikot kami. So when he said that in our August 17 meeting, that he was aghast and saying to the SI, ganun ba karaming kailangan natin import? Yan ang tanong ni Pangulo. So, I believe that the number did not come from the Executive Secretary nor the President. And it was coming from the SRA. For the record, Your Honor, I can only give you what I know from this August 17 meeting with the President that told me. For the record of this hearing.
Thank you, Senate President. Unless there are other questions related to the previous statement of the Executive Secretary, my advice to our colleagues is that we limit ourselves to the four corners of the sworn statement plus other matters that arose from this hearing. More importantly, more pointedly, the claim of former Administrator Serapica. And we're now shifting to, with the permission of Senator Pimentel, we're now shifting to item 3. That there was the claim of Mr. Serapica is that it was not 300,000 but 600,000. Mr. Serapica, are you still online? Are you still there?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'm still here.
Pakiulit yung sinabi mo na ang pinaplano nyo ay 600,000. Totoo ba yun?
Under oath.
You're under oath.
Hindi ko po yung sinabi ang plano.
Sinabi mo yung kanina.
Hindi po.
We have your tape testimony. You were under oath. We have the transcript of stenographic notes here that I even asked you kanina. I was the one who asked you. I think that was an hour ago. I have the time here. I even asked you, bakit ngayon lang lumabas yung 600,000? Na hindi mo sinabi. Pinagpapawisan ka ngayon. Hindi ko alam kung walang aircon dyan sa likod mo. 600,000, tapos sinabi mo online. Ngayon, sinasabi mo, hindi mo sinabi yon. We can replay
Hindi ko
that.
po sinabi na 600 po yung
Sinabi mo
pinopropose
yun.
ko po.
Mr. Chair.
Ang dami nakarinig no kanina. It's not me against you. Even the media can show that. If i-play sa'yo yun, you mentioned 600,000 metric tons. Saan mo nabunot yun? Tapos ngayon, dinideny mo na.
Mr.
Hindi ko po
Chair.
yung sinabi, Mr. Chair.
Kung nandito ka lang sa premises ng Senado, pinakulong ka na namin dito. Pero sinabi mo yung kanina, ang pinalalabas mo ngayon, ako yung nagsisinungaling?
Hindi po ganyan yung pagsabi ko po, Mr. Chair.
Ano yung sinabi mo?
Yung with due respect sa mahal na Pangulo po, yung sinabi niyang 600,000 metric tons, sabi ko po, Mr. President, that may be too much kasi nagbukas na po yung first farmers ng kanilang pag-accept ng canes at saka mag-mail na po yung
Mr. Chairman, ayaw na nga ng Presidente ng 300,000 metric tons, 600,000 pa. I don't believe the President had said that. Impossible. The President will not come up with a figure on the top of his mind. You better clarify, Mr. Serafica, you are very close to being cited for contempt.
Mr. Chair, if I may, the 300,000
Yes, but let the records reflect. The TSN would bear me out na sinabi mo yon. I even commented. Ngayon ko lang narinig yung 600,000 metric tons. Ngayon ko lang narinig yung online. Ang sinabi ko pa, wag mong gamitin yung Pangulo. Sinabi mo, sumagot ka uli. Sabi mo, 600,000 metric tons. Now you are denying that and impliedly saying that either we are deaf here, all of us here are deaf, or I am lying.
Yung 600,000 po yan, Mr. Chair, hindi po yan galing sa akin po. Yung 600,000 na yan, hindi galing po yan sa akin. Yung binanggit po ni Presidente ng 600,000, sabi ko po na Mr. President, that might be too much. Yun ang sabi ko po.
What you're saying now is that it never came from you, but from another source, the Chief Executive himself. Perhaps the good Executive Secretary can affirm whether that came from the President himself or Mr. Serapica is telling us false truths, half lies, or what? Executive Secretary, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Wala hong binabanggit na amount in terms of quantity si kagalang-galang na Pangulo Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. pagdating doon sa metric tons na dapat iangkat. Kaya po tayo naipit doon sa import plan pa lamang dahil hindi nga ho kami kumbinsido sa 300,000 metric tons. Again, let me be very clear, Your Honors, wala hong debate na dapat tayo ay mag-angkat. Wala pong debate na dapat tayo mag-import. Nahinto na lamang po kami kung magkakano talaga yung amount na dapat nating iangkat. At wala pong katotohanan na nanggaling kay Pangulong Marcos yung 600,000 metric tons. I would like to join the manifestation of the good senator, the Senate President, kung yung 300,000 metric tons nga ho ay hindi kumbinsido ang Pangulo, bakit naman niya sasabihin 600,000 metric tons? And fact of the matter, Your Honors, there is already a SO1 and SO2 passed by the new board. Ang iaangkat nga lamang ho natin ay 150,000 metric tons. Malayong-malayo po doon sa sinabi kanina ng dating SRA administrator na 600,000 metric tons.
I'd just like to add, Mr. Chairman, sa ilang hearing na po ito, pangatlong hearing na po ito, bakit ngayon lang niya binanggit yun? Dapat sa naunang hearing pa lang, binanggit niya na yun. Where does this supposed number come from and where is it coming from? Ako, dudang-duda ako dito, Mr. Chairman. I don't know why this kind of information was put in play, maybe to muddle all these discussions. But why did he just come up with this now and now he's denying it?
Mr. Chair.
Senator Hontiveros, is this related to? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Someone is about to be cited in contempt, but there is a recording of the Zoom meeting, and that recording can put these issues to rest. So siguro, Mr. Chair, kahit si Chair lang po ay makapanood noon or at least makatanggap ng transcript ng meeting na yon to set these issues to rest. That would be the only way to validate. At gusto ko pa rin i-appreciate the fact na si former Administrator Serafica is appearing for the third time and answering questions of the Blue Ribbon Committee, not for the first time alone. Meron din silang sinumite September 2 na supplemental affidavit. And ako nga po, Mr. Chair, kung nandun ako sa meeting na iyon, I would not take it against the President kung meron silang babanggitin, hindi iuutos, kundi babanggitin or naiisip na 600,000. Marami pong stakeholders sa industry at sa buong bansa natin na maaring dumulog kay Presidente with this or that proposal, this or that amount. Ang importante para sa akin ay kung nabanggit man ni Presidente na it was in his mind at all, kailangan ba ng 600,000, yung sinabi pareho ni dating Administrator Serafica at dating Board Member or ni Mr. Serafica rather, kinonfirm ni dating Board Member Valderrama na masyadong malaki iyon. And klaro, pati dun sa sinabi ni ES na ang pinadraft nilang sugar importation plan or program or order ay for 300,000 lang. So, kaya po, Mr. Chair, napaka-importante nung August 4 meeting na iyon na kahit si Chair na lang ang makapanood or makabasa ng record nung meeting na iyon to set these issues to rest at para klaro kung papaano na set originally yung proposal at 300,000, eventually naging 150,000 ngayon. And if at any time, any stakeholder appeal to the President for an amount of 600,000, there's no crime in that. Gusto lang natin sa komite kompletohin yung kwentong ito. And Chair, I'm sorry, I need to pull out at this point. I apologize to the Chair and to SP and my colleagues, to the ES and all of our resource persons, including Yusek Sebastian and Administrator Serafica and Board Member Valderrama. I have a victim survivor of sexual abuse, sexual violence waiting for me in another committee.
The committee notes
Marami
the
pong
manifestation
salamat,
of
Mr. Chair.
Senator Hontiveros, but the Chair is now constrained to recall to the witness table Mr. Manuel Lamata. Can you be seated? With the indulgence of our colleagues and the Executive Secretary. Mr. Lamata, you stated under oath that the claim of Mr. Serafica relative to the 300,000 metric ton was pre-approved, and you rebutted this a while ago. Can you repeat that for the benefit of some of our colleagues who just arrived? Yung section number 29 of the supplemental affidavit of Mr. Serafica that was just executed 2 September 2022. There is no, Mr. Serafica claimed that there is no truth to the allegation of you, Mr. Lamata, that it was made to appear that the 300,000 metric tons was already approved by the President. Can you repeat what you said 30 minutes ago?
Again, good afternoon to this honorable court. Committee pa. During those times when the sugar prices in the retail stores were very high.
No. What I'm saying is this. Yung sinabi ba ni Mr. Serafica dito na sinasabing nagsisinungaling ka ay tama o mali? Sino ang nagsisinungaling?
Siya ang sinungaling po. Serafica. He is a liar.
Because of?
There's no truth to whatever he said. There is no shortage. It's number one.
Mali.
Ay, mali yun.
Because?
Because there's no truth to it. There's no truth to it, Mr. Senator.
Thank you, Mr.
Maraming salamat.
We now recognize Attorney Vic Rodriguez, the Executive Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to be clear, Mr. Chairman, if the alleged Zoom or video meeting took place, and if I get the date correctly mentioned by the Honorable Senator Risa Hontiveros was August 4, let it be put on record, Mr. Chairman. Noong August 4 po, wala po kaming Zoom meeting ni Mr. Serafica. He was in my office, Your Honors. He was physically present in my office, and that is contained in my statement during my first appearance in this Honorable Blue Ribbon Committee. He was in my office, and we were discussing precisely if he could liquidate the 200,000 metric tons product of SO3. Nandoon po siya sa aking tanggapan. At yun din po yung aking statement na ang kaharap po niya ay ang aking Senior Deputy Executive Secretary, ang aking Deputy Executive Secretary for Legal, at ang aking Deputy Executive Secretary for Finance, at nandun din ho yung Pangulo ng PITC na si Dr. Molly Chong. I would just want to make this clear because the name of the President is unnecessarily being dragged by the former SRA administrator. And as the Executive Secretary, I will not allow that, Your Honors, please.
So, to repeat this, to clarify this once and for all, there was no Zoom online meeting on 4 August 2022, as claimed by Mr. Serafica. Yes? Wala nangyaring ganon.
It cannot be, Your Honor, because he was in my office.
And you cannot be physically present in an office and Zoom at the same time.
And he was just seated like this, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Serafica, can you clarify this once and for all? Ang dami mo nang sinasabing nakakalito na.
Yes,
Mr.
that's
Serafica,
correct.
are you still there?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Wala
I was
daw Zoom meeting. Ano yung sinasabi mong Zoom meeting?
Mr. Chair, I was in the office of E.S. Rodriguez, but the President and former board member Valderrama were in a Zoom meeting joining us, Mr. Chair. That was after lunch.
Mr. Chairman, hybrid ang meeting nila.
Is it correct? Yes, was there a hybrid?
Let me check, Your Honor, just to be precise. But I'm sure that August 4, he was in my office. Yes, after lunch, because it's in my notebook, Your Honor. I'm in the habit of taking notes of all that's happening in my presence. In fact, Your Honor, one of the subject matter that I've raised then, as of 1:30 p.m., August 4, he was seated in front of me, the former SRA administrator. I told him, how come last July 24, there are confusing figure posted on your SRA website? Sabi doon sa website mo, meron ka pang 160,992 metric tons of raw sugar and for domestic production. And also on the same day, July 24, napansin ka ako ng mga staff ko, meron ka na namang 195,025 metric tons ng refined sugar. Nandoon ho kami, nandoon po siya sa aking tanggapan.
So, thank you, Mr. Executive Secretary. Are there questions from the Blue Ribbon? Senator Pimentel, the
Thank
Minority
you.
Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to clarify nga the August 4 kasi, kawawa naman yung mga tao, tinawag yun na illegal, unauthorized, immoral yung meeting nila. Ngayon, sasabihin nyo, sinungaling pa sila sa August 4. Totoong may meeting pala nung August 4, Mr. ES. Ang tanong na lang, were there others present by online? Okay, para organize po tayo sa ating facts para walang allegation na may nagsisinungaling. May inaccuracy siguro sa pagka-state niya, pero may August 4 meeting, nabanggit niya online kasi naka-online siya. Mahirap talaga ang pero hybrid pa lang ibig niyang sabihin. Physical po kayo, meron bang others present online? Tandaan po natin, Mr. Valderrama confirms such a meeting.
That is what I will have to check, Your Honor, so that we will be precise. What I'm saying is, August 4, what I'm affirming now, based on my recollection, it really transpired, Your Honor, that he was physically present in my office. Purposely, we were discussing on how the 200,000 metric tons product of
Sige po.
SO3 was consumed, Your Honor.
Oo, okay na yes, kasi para doon lang tayo. So, okay, so you do not recall an August 4 meeting which is hybrid. Alam naman natin yung hybrid na may physical and then may naka-online. Where the President was online and maybe he mentioned 600,000 metric tons. But hindi ito utos. I mean, pwedeng brainstorming lang ninyo na nabanggit para wala tayong sinasabing nagsisinungaling. Hindi naman ano yun eh. I mean, hindi naman krimen yun na nagbe-brainstorming po kayo ng figure. At saka from the opening statement kasi of the Executive Secretary, Mr. Chairman, yung mga gusto nilang malaman sa sugar industry, eksakto sa gusto natin malaman eh. Exactly. Gusto niya malaman yung traders, mga volume. Eksakto. So, ibig sabihin nun, ano na lang ito rin sa SRA, you are not transparent enough, SRA, maraming opaque kayo, opaque. Hindi kayo naiintindihan, maraming gusto namin maintindihan ng inyong mga proseso, so try your best to be transparent. So, balik po ako, ES, yun lang po yun. Yun lang po yun para kawawa naman yung mga tao, tatawagin na natin sinungaling pa. I mean, nabanggit ba ni Presidente Marcos yung 600,000 metric tons off-hand? As part of the discussion, and then, kasi iba yung date August 4 ito then subsequently, pwede pa rin sabihin nyo na you found the 300,000 to be too much. Pero subsequently na po yun, mga 1 week later na po yun. So, August 4 lang po tayo, nakatingin. So, yes.
Your Honor, makakaasa po kayo. I'll determine whether there was a hybrid or there was participants in the Zoom meeting. At kagaya po ninyo, wala rin ho kaming layunin o pakay na paratangan ng kung sino man at ng kung ano man ang mga pinatawag po ng committee. Aalamin ko po iyon, Your Honor, and what I can assure you, at kung may naganap man hong hybrid o may participant doon sa via Zoom, malalaman po ninyo.
With the permission of Senator Pimentel, as requested by Senator Hontiveros, kung meron transcript, provide na lang sa chairman. But to correct the impression yung word na sinungaling, kaya ako nabanggit yun kanina kasi sinasabi niya na hindi raw niya sinabi. You were not yet around, Mr.
I was online. I was present online, Chairman.
Ito po nakalagay, maliwanag yung I have the transcripts now, the advanced copy of the TSN. And Mr. Serapica mentioned several times the words 600,000 of metric tons at 10:25 a.m. Almost more than 2 hours ago. Senator Hontiveros asked, 600,000 metric tons ang binanggit. Mr. Serapica said, yes po. So these are all here. So I mentioned the word sinungaling because I was made to appear that I'm not quoting from something. I'm quoting from the transcript of stenographic notes, 10:25 a.m. So you can proceed.
I can
Senator
continue.
President.
Basta tandaan lang natin na yung allegation ni Mr. Serafica na mayroong hybrid meeting August 4 na nabanggit ng 600,000 metric tons ni President Marcos was confirmed by another person, Mr. Valderrama. Okay? So, dalawa ang nagsasabi po nito. Anyway,
Because, Senator Pimentel, with my interjection again, Mr. Valderrama has not yet been put to the witness stand today. The allegation came from Mr. Serapica that Valderrama was part of the loop.
present po ako kanina sa online, I think he was asked, and then he appeared to confirm the story.
I do not recall. As Comsec, tinawag ko na ba si Mr. Valderrama?
Kanina.
No. Tinanong ko na ba siya? Mr. Valderrama? I stand corrected.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay, can I now proceed to another matter? At least nasagot ni si ES. Mr. Chairman, can I proceed on another matter? Okay lang, sige. ES, punta tayo sa ano mo, testimony mo, August 23, 2022 po, dito po sa committee ito. I hope you have a copy of your transcript.
Meron po, Your Honor,
August,
kasi
yeah.
ako ho mismo ang sumulat sa akin notebook.
Okay, ito pong page 14 po ng transcript po ng August 23, 2022, which captures your testimony. Second paragraph, yung August 7, last sentence, sabi mo, I purposely did not answer him dahil wala pa pong tugon ang Pangulo sa tatlong bagay na ito. Yung mga tanong ni Senior Yusek Leo Sebastian, di ba? Yun. Tapos sa August 8 naman, ito naman sa last paragraph ng page 14, meron na namang sentence mo na, I purposely did not respond because these are the matters that are still on the table of the acting secretary of the Department of Agriculture, page 15 na po ako, that we have yet to act upon and that he has yet to decide. Actually, yan po ang parang naging ugat ng controversy is yung hindi pag-communicate. Yun ang nakita ko. Bakit? Why do you purposely not respond, Mr. ES? You could have responded na we have not yet made a decision on that. You say, so why? Doon po na kasi alam nyo ba bakit? Kasi ang nangyari, nag-assume. Yun ang sagot naman nila sa amin, we assume. Yes, sir. Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor. Kaya po kami hindi sumasagot dahil meron pa nga hong mga nakabinbin na for action or decision ho ng acting secretary na si Pangulong Marcos. At malinaw naman po noon doon na if I may go back further a little, Your Honor. In fact, alam naman ho nung dating Chief of Staff at Senior Yusek in charge for operation na yung kanyang additional delegated authority ay hindi naman po yun kapangyarihang gumawa ng mali. Proof is, noong July 29, 2022, ito po na inabot lamang ngayon ng aking staff, meron po siyang liham, pagpapatunay lang na he is conscious na ang kanyang authority ay hindi naman po blanket authority yan na mag-decide on his own. Ito po kanyang July 29, 2022 memo ay humingi po siya ng guidance on whether to approve the reclassification of sugar from C to B. Ito po yung nabanggit ko kanina na higit kumulang ay 62,000 metric tons. I will be submitting this, Your Honor, although it's just a photocopy, the only copy that I have now, para lang po sa guidance po ng committee at nating lahat, na malinaw naman po sa kanya as early as July 29 na ang kanyang authority ho ay limitado lamang. And proof is, yung nabanggit ko nga ho sa aking statement na August 7, Sunday, tinatanong niya po ako, kagaya po nung nabanggit ni kagalang-galang na Senator Coco Pimentel, yung tatlong bagay, any instruction from the President after his meeting with SINAG, on sugar and the fertilizer. So malinaw po yun, for his every action, humihingi po siya ng confirmation, Your Honor. At kaya ko lang po talaga hindi na sinasagot yon, Your Honor, dahil wala pa pong final na desisyon o aksyon ang Pangulo. Yun lamang po yun, Your Honor.
Anyway po, ang habol natin dito, mga lessons learned. I mean,
Pimentel,
yes,
with your permission, you can submit that, just certify it. The committee secretariat is directed to retrieve from the good executive secretary a copy of the document just mentioned a while ago, but it has to be a certified copy, and we will mark that accordingly. Please proceed, Senator Pimentel.
thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, ano lang yun, ES, parang we should parang learn our lessons here. Because you could have answered kasi na hindi pa ready, Yusek, hindi pa ready. Parang ganun ba? I mean, sayang. My reputations are damaged. Even it's not even it taints the start of the Marcos administration na merong parang fiasco na ganito. Just a little improvement in the communication Sayang lang. I mean, nasasayangan lang ako din. Ang sagot mo kasi, I purposely did not answer. You could have answered that we are not yet ready to give you approval or wait for a while, mga ganon. So, yan lang po yung aking opinion. But siyempre, di na natin mababalik ang panahon. Nangyari na po yung nangyari. Yes. But thank you for your reply. Ito lang po sa page 16 po ES ng iyong transcript. Yung first paragraph, yung ito galit ka na rito galit na kayo sa SO4 sa mga pumirma you ask them, tinanong mo si Administrator Serapica, Beltran and Yusek Sebastian. Ang tugon, parang malabo ito. Ang sagot po sa akin, ang naging tugon niya, akala ko po kasi okay na, sabi ni Yusek Leo. Sa gitna, sa page 16 po Ganon din ho yung sagot ni Board Member Beltran, at ganon din ang sagot ni Senior Yusek Leo Sebastian. Nalito lang po ako ron because Senior Yusek Leo Sebastian will not answer with the sentence, akala ko po kasi okay na, sabi ni Yusek Leo. Isa yung tinatanong niyo. So ano po yung sagot niya? Ano sagot ni Yusek Leo Sebastian sa tanong mo?
Yun po yung eksaktong sagot niya. Akala ko kasi ay okay na. Yun po yung tugon ni Yusek Leo Sebastian. At when I asked him, again, based on what I have said, on what transpired on 10 August, Wednesday, when I confronted them, yung dalawa po, si dating Administrator Serafica and Board Member Beltran, ay sa magkahiwalay na telepono, pinatawagan ko sa kanya. I don't know, I cannot recall now kaninong telepono yung isa. Naka-speakerphone po pareho yun. And in his presence, I asked him, bakit kayo nagpasa niyan? Akala ko, ang sagot ho nila, akala ko kasi ay okay na. Iisa ho ang kanilang naging tugon, Your Honor.
Okay, yung iba quoting Yusek Leo Sebastian, according to him okay na. Yan po ba ang tamang interpretation nitong inyong sinabi?
Yes, Your Honor, dahil siya po ang nagpa-route nung sugar order number 4 for purposes of referendum.
Yes. Sige, sir. Klaro naman, sir, klaro naman na kailangan ni Yusek Sebastian ng approval. Actually, yun na nga. Sabi mo, sumulat pa. Ako, nagte-text pa. May personal visit. Sabi ko nga, an additional personal visit might have avoided all of this. Kung pumunta sa sayo personal, sinabi nyo, thumbs down pa, hindi pa approve yan. Ngayon, pwede ko bang tanongin si Yusek Sebastian to clarify SO4. SO4 is about the importation of sugar, 300,000 metric tons, but it covers the calendar year hanggang November. Tama po ba yan?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Correct, di ba? So it goes beyond the crop year, no? So kaya nga ngayon, it's the start of a new crop year or season, and there's a new SO2, as I've read, There's an SO1 and there's a new SO2 for 150,000 metric tons. But the year is not yet over. So tignan natin if SO2 may be followed by another sugar order and an importation of a certain quantity. Kung magtugma yan at the end of the year sa 300,000 metric tons, therefore, we had no debate at all pala. So hintayin na natin, but that remains to be seen. December 31, 2022 is the reckoning point. Kasi as I understand, SO4, it goes beyond the crop year. Ang nabasa ko hanggang, meron kayong isang factor na hanggang December ang kinonsider ninyo, may isang factor na hanggang November ang kinonsider ninyo. So, I just want to make that of record, Mr. Chairman, na ako, I will be looking at December 31, 2022 para malaman ko kung for the calendar year, ilan yung inangkat natin. So,
That's why, Senator Pimentel, I've been asking since 9 a.m. Attorney Tejeda to produce the inventory. You promised us for the last several hours that the signature is underway. So sabi ko, ipalalamove mo na lang. Nauna pa yung Jollibee. Anyway, you can have your lunch while we're having this hearing. So when can we have that inventory from SRA?
Yes, sir. As per my communication with the staff of the admin officer, it was already sent. Can we check on the email, sir?
Sent to?
To the Senate, the Blue Ribbon Committee, sir.
Can we check that? They are not nodding their heads. Wala pa daw.
Okay, sir. I'll do another follow-up, sir.
Please. Kung pumunta ka doon kanina, nakuha mo na eh.
Yes, sir. The problem is it's not with my office. I cannot, sir. It's with the admin office.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
sabi ni Attorney Tejeda kanina, Tejeda, 1 hour daw, bigyan mo siya ng 1 hour. Titignan ko yung oras ngayon, sobra 1 hour na yung pag-request niya kanina. So, maybe we can give him another 1 hour, Mr. Chairman.
As fast as
Mr. Chairman.
Your Honor, because
We'll run out of Jollibees if we
Yes,
provide
sir.
him another hour.
I received a confirmation that they sent it at 12:25, Your Honor, before the 1 hour. But
Yes, that will partly answer the query of Senator Pimentel regarding the need for another round of importation because of the inventory. So, Senator Pimentel, are you done with your questioning?
I'll suspend my questioning, Mr. Chairman. Give way to the others.
Mr. Chairman,
We see virtually Senator Alan Cayetano.
Mr. Chairman, may I interject just one question kay ES in connection with the interpellation of Senator Pimentel, if our colleagues would allow.
Yes, you have the floor. As long as this is germane to the previous questioning.
Yes,
You have the
yes,
floor.
yes. Well, basically, I viewed, Mr. Chairman, and I agree with you that Mr. Serafica said it, then completely denied it, and then clarified it. So I am with the chairman when you are asking him, is he lying? Having said that, the minority leader pointed a good point about not only communication, but is there misinformation in this committee? So to give clarity, I just have one question. When this
Please
issue
proceed, Your
broke
Honor.
out, just to give the context, Yusek Sebastian signature appeared for the president. And when this came out to media, if I'm not mistaken, Yusek Sebastian said that to spare the president from further embarrassment, he will resign. And then Malacanang came out saying that he is no longer Yusek. And when I questioned him, because you do not sign for the president, you sign by authority of the president. You only sign for the president when there is specific instructions na ipirma mo na ako yan. So, he pointed to a memorandum order or whatever the nomenclature of that order, basically the ES giving him powers. Basically, para siyang acting secretary in the absence of or unless the president reverses him. But recently, lumabas, hindi pa pala siya fired o hindi siya resigned. Siya daw po ay suspended lang. Which is no issue at all if there were no allegations that there is someone behind using the president's name. But the records are complete with testimony that certain people in the SRA we're telling the stakeholders that ito ang gusto ni Presidente. No? So that comes into play. Yung pumirma ka na mali, na in good faith, na yun ang proseso, you should not be punished or fired for that if it, if it isn't per se a bad decision. But in context of making it appear na yan ang gusto ng Presidente, ibang usapan yan. That's an allegation of being part of the conspiracy. So given that context, only one question. Mr. Executive Secretary, magandang hapon po. Ang question ko po, is he fired or not? And if he's not, why is he not fired when he signed for the President? And after all your testimony, it is very clear that the President did not intend to allow that order. So that's why ang dami tuloy lumalabas usap-usapan ngayon na prinoprotektahan si Yusek Sebastian. It may be unfair, but that precisely is the question, no? Is he fired or not, or is he resigned or not? And if he is still Yusek, just under preventive suspension, is that the government we're going to have? That anyone who signs for the President will just get a slap on the wrist? That's my question.
You may answer, ES Rodriguez.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon to Senator Alan Peter Cayetano. Good afternoon, sir. Yung sulat ho niya kasi ng August 11, I have again a photocopy here. Ang sinasabi lang ho niya ay hindi naman po resignation. Ang sinasabi niya, if I may read, Your Honor, please, on the second paragraph, and I quote, thus, I humbly offer to be relieved of my delegated authorities and assignments and responsibilities in my capacity as Chief of Staff and Undersecretary of the Department of Agriculture. Hindi naman ho siya nag-resign. I was, if I may refer later on to the Deputy Executive Secretary for Legal for the further discussion. Kasi si Yusek Leo ho ay CESO 1. At ang hinihingi lang po niya sa kanyang sulat ay siya ay ma-relieve sa kanyang duties as Chief of Staff at Yusek. Hindi po siya nag-resign, Your Honor. Humihingi lamang po siya na i-relieve siya ng kanyang pagiging COS at USEC. If for further clarification, to expound, if I may be permitted, Your Honor, Mr. Chair, to refer the matter to the Deputy Executive Secretary for Legal.
Yes, but we have to administer the oath to the Deputy Executive Secretary. Can you please rise? Can you administer the oath, General Counsel?
Can you please raise your right hand? Do you swear and affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in this proceeding?
I do.
Yes, sir.
We still want to get your name kasi walang nameplate sa harap mo. Just mention some of your personal circumstances.
Yes, sir. I'm Attorney Richard Palpalato, the current Deputy Executive Secretary for Legal Affairs under the Office of the President. That's it, sir.
And
Mr. Chairman, before he answers, before he answers the question, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sorry, Mr. Chairman, I didn't mean to interrupt. It's just that online, I do not know when, I'm interrupting you or not, so I apologize for that. I agree with the Executive Secretary na kapag CESO, or meaning career, unlike political appointees that you can just fire them. But to put context sa sagot ng Deputy Executive Secretary for Legal, when it's for cause, you can also immediately fire career officials. No, President Duterte fired several career officials because the point here is if you look at the privileged speech of the Senate President, may kikita ng daan-daan milyon kung natuloy ito. And it was the signature of the USEC who was given authority to make decisions, not to sign for the President. So the mere fact that someone signs for the President is more than enough grounds to fire him. Secondly, anong sagot niya, I refer to the records, no? But something like mali yung akala niya or whatever akala niya, yun ang gusto ng presidente. If the whole sugar industry will suffer and people cannot buy sugar because it's too expensive already, I don't know ano pang hinihintay natin to fire someone who did something like that, no? So I just want to put that on the record, Mr. President and Mr. Chairman, because it's not only a question of legal, it's also a moral question. Will you allow undersecretaries to do that? Because we're just beginning this administration and we're all trying to help, whether administration or opposition, dahil grabe na pinangdadaanan ng ating mga kababayan. Tuloy-tuloy ang COVID, napakamahal ng presyo ng mga bilihin, etong sugar, marami pa tayong anin dito. So for me, Mr. Executive Secretary, I thank you for your answer. It was a straight legal answer, but please look into this because whatever you do will set an example for the next 6 years. And if we're going to say, well, kailangan imbestigahan muna ng legal and you're not going to have a firm handling of this USEC, unless nga, which is the speculation ng iba, meron nasa likod niya na mataas na pumoprotekta sa kanya kaya hindi maalis. So hindi po to chismis. I'm telling you face to face, except via Blue Jeans sa Blue Ribbon Committee, that these are ito ang mga pinag-uusapan, whether ng mga senador o mga tao sa kalye, na bakit ang lalakas ng mga ito, no? So can you imagine if other USEC start signing for the President, hindi by the authority of the President? So I cannot overemphasize this, Mr. Chairman, so I apologize, no, but that's the question there. And I will accept yung legal, no? But this isn't a legal question. It's a question of how this administration is going to treat government officials who use the President's name and causes severe damage to our people. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Cayetano. The Deputy Executive Secretary can now answer the question delegated to you by the Executive Secretary.
Yes,
I think it's something to do with the CESO, rank, etc., etc. Please proceed.
Yes, Your Honor. With respect to Undersecretary Sebastian, as the Executive Secretary said, the request of USEC Sebastian was only for the relief of his duties. And considering that he is a CESO 1, appointed as Undersecretary, he is a career official, Your Honor. And by requesting to be relieved, he did not resign from the position. He can still be appointed to another position equivalent to his CESO rank.
So that would entail relief of concurrent and additional duties.
Duties, yes, Your Honor. And with respect to the manifestation of the good Senator Cayetano, Your Honor, that is precisely the subject matter of the investigation of my office, the matter of the signature of USEC Sebastian appearing on the SO4. So we have given the parties the
if I may
opportunity.
interrupt, precisely the question of Senator Cayetano is this, rephrased from my part. Being assessor rank officer, can USEC Sebastian be fired?
He can be fired, Your Honor, for cause. After due process, Your Honor.
So is that part of the ongoing investigation right now?
Yes, Your Honor.
And when do we expect to have a result?
As soon as possible, Your Honor. There are proceedings, there are procedures to be observed, Your Honor.
Can this committee be furnished a copy of the results?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Senator Pimentel, any questions? If none,
Mr. Chair, last question, Mr. Chairman.
Senator
For me
Cayetano,
lang po,
yes,
with your permission lang, Mr. Chairman, as soon as possible is not a good answer. Because, yes, there is a procedural due process, but this is the most simple of cases. Did he abuse his power for signing for the President? Napakalinaw ng facts, he admitted it, nandyan ang dokumento. You can call him anytime, you can have the hearing anytime. So the mere fact na buwan na to, no, September na, is questionable for me. So if you want to send a message to the rest of the bureaucracy that you can't mess around with this administration, you can't let people suffer with prices, Hindi nyo pwedeng guluhin. Even yung Blue Ribbon Committee, ang dami namin dapat i-hearing, then you will tell us. So, excuse me lang, but I don't mean no to sound that I'm scolding. But, you know, I've been in government for 30 years. I've been opposition to many administrations and then a partner to the Duterte administration. But Mr. ES, may I just give a unsolicited advice? Speed matters in issues like this. Gusto mong mawala ang mga marites na nagkakalat na gusto ng presidente nung sugar importation. Gusto nyo mawala yung mga marites na nagsasabing may promoprotekta kay Yusek Sebastian. You know, be decisive and make a decision. You know, ano to? Simpong ganyan, aabutin ng 6 months, 3 months. How can the courts take the cue from us in the executive and legislative kung mabagal tayo? Look at our chairman, no? Very organized, very quick, and then tinatapos niya kaagad. So I'll stop there, Mr. Chair, but respectfully sa ating executive secretary, please look into this because this will really matter down the line in this administration. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Your Honor. So, next in line to question would be Senator J.B. Ejercito. No questions coming from Senator Ejercito. Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa. No questions.
Before we,
The Senate President.
before we excuse the executive secretary, can I just ask for a 1-minute suspension?
Session is suspended for 1 minute.